In this session, I'm going to show you how to create a port scanner that scans remote hosts for OpenTCP ports. We saw in a previous lesson that you can easily scan for open ports on your machine using the server socket class. To scan a remote host, we can use the socket class. Let me explain how this application works. When the application starts, it will ask for a target IP address. Here, I've used system.in to read user input. I have a similar code in the stream chapter, and what I've done here is to copy that piece of code, and I've done some minor changes. After we enter the target IP address, the IP address is stored in the target IP variable, and I'm gonna pass this variable to the socket constructor. If I enter a domain name and the host address is not valid, the socket class will throw an unknown host exception and the application will exit. Because I want to scan a linear range of ports, we need to specify the starting port to scan and the ending port. The client will be asked to enter the first port and the last port. So, in the same way, I'm storing the starting port in the from port variable. And here, check that the enter port is in the valid port range. If not, inform the user about the valid port range and ask again for a new port number. If the user does not enter a number, the parseInt method will throw a number format exception. The exception is handled in the catch block, which will display a warning message to inform the user that a port should be a number. I've done the same for the ending port. Another condition that must be met is that the starting port value should be smaller than the ending port. So here I'm gonna verify that the to port is greater than from port. Otherwise, the user will be asked for a new port number. And now it's time to check if the port is in listening state or not. I've set the port variable with the starting port value. This variable will take values from the given port range, and I'm gonna pass this variable to the socket constructor. Here I'm using a while loop to iterate through the given range. Then I'm trying to instantiate the socket class, and I'm gonna use the IP address of the target host and the port I want to scan. The socket is trying to connect to the remote host, and if the port is already opened, this line will throw an input-output exception, which is handled by this catch block. Inside the catch block, I'm gonna print port is not opened. Otherwise, print port is in listening state and close the connection after we test the port. We don't want to leave an open connection after the port is tested. And here, increment the port number in order to test the next port. Okay, now let me run this code. Enter the target IP address. I have a PC connected to my local area network. Its IP address is 192.168.0.115. And I want to scan its ports. Starting port, let's say 100. Ending port, let's say 99, because I want to know if the application will ask again for the ending port. Okay, let's use 120. And now wait for some seconds. Port 102 is in listening state. Okay. Now you have a simple port scanner, and you can use this application to scan any host on internet. Before I end this video, I want you to know that some hosts on internet may consider port scanning a serious threat. Anyone running scans without prior notice and permission will be seen as hacker, no matter how good your intentions are. Scanning can freeze host systems. One problem with the port scanning from the perspective of the attacker is that it is easily logged by services listening at the ports because they see an incoming connection but no data, so they log an error. Before you start scanning a remote host on internet, please ensure that the host allows you to scan its ports. Thank you for watching.